Welcome to Patty's Aquatics.
Welcome to Patty's Aquatics. My name is Adam and welcome to the Fishroom. So to start off, let's just say Happy New Year, everyone. I hope everyone had a great holiday season. I look forward to the upcoming year of more learning, more sharing, and just more fish goodness. So anyway, today what I want to do is I haven't done it in a little while. I'm going to give you guys a full fish room tour. I'm going to show you all the tanks and everything's going on. But more importantly, I think I announced it last week in a video. I have some major changes I plan on doing in my fish room. Really to start that off with, I guess we can say is when you're in this hobby, I know at least for me, I have an addictive personality that once I get one tank, it's never enough. I want to get more. I want to get more. I want to try this setup. I want to do this method. I want to get these fish. I want to try these plants. So there's never an end to it. So it gets to the point where you have too many tanks and you just feel a little, not so much overwhelmed, but just kind of like, why do I have all these? That's kind of where I'm in right now. I know some people probably can't relate because they want to keep getting more and more and more. And trust me, I was like that, but I'm sort of at that point now where I have so many tanks in this small little space. There's a bunch of them where they're just there. I really don't have much interest in them anymore, and I want to change that. So I'm going to downsize my fish room a little bit. I'm going to get rid of probably about 4 or 5 tanks and switch some things around. And I'll show you guys all that today, what I'm going to be doing tentatively. I'll show you some of the fish that are going, some of the tanks that are going, some of them are staying, and what I'm going to do with some of them. So with that being said, let's turn this camera around and we can start talking. Well, I guess to start off, this is the fish room, how it looks right now. Like I said, there's going to be some changes. I know some people aren't going to relate to this because I really don't have that many tanks, but I have enough of them where there's a few of them where I don't really have much interest in. They don't really spark my interest, and there's a lot of other things I want to try to do. And so that's really why I want to downsize more than anything, not really out of a maintenance aspect or anything like that. I just want to be interested in my tanks. So before we get started, sorry about the glare. You're going to see glare in a lot of these shots because of the surrounding lights. But let's talk about the puffer tank here first. So I talked about this tank in last week's video, what I plan on doing with it, the issues with my algae, the plants not growing, that I plan on taking some of that substrate out. I'm going to put in, take these plants out, and I'm going to put in more Anubias and the Java fern, plants along that nature that do not need to be rooted because the sand itself is beach sand and it's so fine and compact. My belief is that it's really cutting off any flow or oxygen to those roots and really not having the plants thrive. I also have a canister filter that I used to have on this tank. I ordered a part for it, so I should be able to get that going because I think it needs more filtration as well. But I don't want to waste any more time on this tank because I did show it in that last video, which I'll link above if you want to go check that out. Now, this rack is going to change completely. First off, Sparkles my Oscar. He is going to be probably the one fish he's going to be going. I'm going to be rehoming him. I have other plans for this tank. This tank has been doing good for the most part, except for I almost have the same type of issues as I do with my puffer tank. The plants don't want to grow in this sand. I have found that gravel has grown my plants a heck of a lot better than sand. Like I mentioned in that video last week, that when I had the dirted tanks, obviously the plants roots went through that sand and into the dirt and was able to thrive. But now that that dirt is gone, my plants do not like sand. They suffocate those roots and they don't let them grow. So yeah, I don't like it. But the fact of the matter is that's not why I'm getting rid of him. I just need the tank space because really it was between the puffer here or my daughter's axolotl. My daughter would kill me if I tried to get rid of her axolotl. So I'm going to rescape this for the axolotl because I have other plans for that axolotl tank, which I'll show you in a little bit. So this one will basically be gutted. I'm going to have to get it out of here, all the substrate out of here. And I'm just going to put a little bit of sand. And then I'll probably try to prop up some swords in the corners and see if I can get them to grow. But my idea is I have this big PVC piping I'm going to try to use as a underground sort of little cavern for the axolotl. And then I'm going to put probably this Anubias still in here and some other Anubias as well, the same as the puffer tank in here to help try to decorate. And this will be the axolotl tank. And then in turn, I can remove that heater. And then the only tank in this fish room I'll have anymore will just be for my puffer tank. So that's what's going on with this one. Like I said, it'll be sad to see that guy go, but sacrifices have to be made if this is something that I want to do, which it is. It's just hard to keep these big tanks with only one fish when I have other ideas of things I want to do. Now, my two 10-gallon tanks here. Now, these have been doing pretty good. I'm still fighting a little bit of algae, especially in this one because, well, they're newer setups with all these plants. But this one's got all my CPD fry in it with different stages of growing out. A bunch of plants I got from Aquarium Co-op in here, and these have been doing great. This one over here, this has got a mixture of white clouds in it, the gold white clouds and some of the regular. I hatched these out in a hatch that I did a while back. What I found was I was unfortunately underfeeding these guys, and they started to suffer a little bit. I thought I was feeding them enough. I apparently wasn't. So I've upped the feeding on them to get them a little back and thriving, because these guys, I have an idea for an upcoming tank, which I'll explain in a little bit. Now, just swinging around to this tank real quick. This is a little 2.5 gallon. This has just got a couple shrimp in it. If you remember correctly, that a different video where I thought I had TB in my tank. I took the crypts out. I didn't have the heart to throw them away. And by the way, I don't really think it was TB anyway. I had some good information from somebody else that's a really reputable breeder that really thought it was maybe more live bearer disease with those platies. And then the rams really could have been bacterial and not really fish TB. I don't know because I never got it tested. But either way, I kept those plants. And I kept them in here isolated with just these couple shrimp, and I threw some gravel in here and just with a little bit of light up above. And I just find this to be more of a cool little low-tech little setup, and we'll just see if these crypts come back and kind of fill this up, because I think they'd be a cool looking little plant tank more than anything. So, but where am I going with these guys? These tanks are moving. I forgot to tell you that. Well, I'm going to be putting them up here, which means, where's this going? I'm going to be moving around the fish room here, just so you know. This thing is going to be drained and taken down, and that's going to become a quarantine hospital tank. I'm going to keep this thing set up, and it's also going to be a holding tank for all my sponge filters and plants while I do the switcheroo here of some of these tanks. And then at the end of the day, this will probably just house any sponge filters I didn't use. And like I said, I'll use it in case I need it for quarantine fish. This little tank is going to go back up on that rack up there, and then those two 10 gallons will fit perfectly right in this spot. All right, so that's where we got that. Now, this wall is what's going to change the most. Now, when I talk about tanks that I really lost interest in as far as just what they were, it's really these three right here. So I'm taking all three of them down. These are going to be the biggest ones that are to be coming down. These two here, I'll be taking down and just getting rid of the tanks entirely. The rice fish, I plan on rehoming. I'm going to rehome the rice fish in here, and I'm going to be rehoming the rice fish in this tank as well. I've just kind of lost interest in them, if you want me to be completely honest. I'm going to keep a few of each in maybe even that quarantine tank for summer tubs for next summer, just for something to put outside. But I don't plan on really keeping and breeding them anymore. Not that there's anything wrong with them. It's just I have other things that I want to do, and I kind of overstepped my reach with all these different type of fish I wanted to try to breed. I just kind of want to kind of simplify it a little bit more and do more what I want. Now, the CPDs I am not getting rid of. I will be keeping these. I will be putting these in another tank though, which I'll explain in a little bit. But yeah, this tank will go as well. This is an old tank. I got this probably like 8 years ago, and I bought it used, and it was old to begin with. So honestly, out of more than anything, I'm going to get rid of this one just so it doesn't spring a leak on me at some point. The 10 gallon under here, I'm going to get rid of. That keeps some of those fish that I was quarantining that were in that tank I suspected was fish TB. I don't think it was. I'm going to keep the beta and the swordtail because those are the fish my daughter loved. There's only 2 of those platies left that ram died. Some of those other platies in there wound up dying. So yeah, I don't know with that. I'm going to probably euthanize them, to be honest with you, because I'm not going to give those away that might potentially have sickness. But anyway, that tank will be coming down and getting rid of. This tank here, like I said, the fish I'm going to rehome, but I'm going to keep this tank. I'm just going to empty it because I'm going to use this for one, a backup tank in case any of the other ones fail, because this is not that old of a tank. But two, I also have an idea I mentioned in a past video of maybe trying to start a sump system like on my puffer tank, and that could potentially be the sump tank underneath the tank if I decide to go that route. But that's what I want to keep with that. But in general, these tanks have been doing good, so there's like nothing wrong with them as far as that goes. Like I'm going to keep all the plants that are in them and reuse them. The gravel I'm going to reuse, which I'll show you in a little bit. But these are really cool fish to see, and these plants, the sword plant has really taken off in the months it's been in here. This crypt's been growing. Like I said, everything in this gravel has been growing really great for me. If you remember back, these crypts melted when I first put them in here, and they're like just look terrible in here. They're finally starting to grow back out a little bit, so that's my biggest fear with these now. If I pull them out, they're going to melt back down again. But I'm hoping for putting them in the cold water to cold water in the same substrates that hopefully I can have that not happen, but only time will tell with it. You know, I know there's a lot going on here, and some people are probably shaking their head thinking this guy changes things up so often. Yeah, that's what I do. That's what I like about this hobby, is to be able to interchange things and do different things. But the most important thing is I always want to do what makes me happy in this hobby, because that's what this is. It's a hobby for me to enjoy, and I'm sharing with you guys. So down here, that tank's going to get emptied and gone. That was an old Higer tank that broke down on me, but I broke it down just for the tank. I had a couple of cribs in there that I had in there, but I emptied them out. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm keeping this 5-gallon tank. This is the tank that I was using to breed my CPDs and white clouds in, because I'm going to keep that for a breeding setup, and that's also going to go on top of that Oscar tank right now on that rack where those 10 gallons are now. So I'll keep that up there. And then what I'm going to do down here is I'm going to make a little shelving system for all my fish foods and products to be able to put right here easy, instead of this little rack I have in the corner that's flimsy and frustrates me. And like I said, that 29-gallon I'm going to put over here for the quarantine tank and stuff that's up here. Now, my dirted tank, my 20-gallon, 20 long, this thing's doing great. Nothing's happening to this one. I'm keeping this one. I'll never get rid of it. My initial thought was I was going to take it and put it up here, but the thought of lifting this thing and draining it, it just really turned me off. But as I'll explain in a little bit, the opening here led me to a different idea, because that tank, like I said, will be gone. I'm getting rid of that stand, but I'm going to keep this part of it for another tank, which I'll explain in a couple minutes. My cribs, they're breeding in here. I've got a bunch of younger juveniles in here. I haven't seen fry small ones in a while, I'm sure because of these guys probably eating them. This tank has been doing great. The algae disappeared. It's looking really healthy. But I think I'm going to move on from the cribs. I don't want fish with heaters anymore. And I bred them. They're cool, but I know somebody that wants to take them all from me and breed them, so I'm going to give them to them. Same thing with the rice fish. I plan on giving them away, so let other people be able to enjoy them. What I'm going to put in here, I have no idea. Honestly, I might just put shrimp in here and let them grow for a while and just kind of do that. But that's that. White clouds. Well, the white clouds and my rainbow shiner tank, these kind of go together. They're both stain. I will never touch that tank as long as I have to. But where are they going? Well, I told you the axolotls going in the other tank where the Oscar was. Well, this is going to be my long-awaited river tank. I'm going to rescape this thing, but I'm going to move it. Remember I said that there was going to be an opening over here? I'm going to put that tank over here. It'll fit perfectly, and this is going to be my new river tank setup. And I'm also going to use a different filtration system in here and play around with it and get some flow in here. And I'm going to put my rainbow shiners and I'm going to put my white clouds in there. I'm going to try probably putting a few CPDs in here as well and see how it goes. And then over time, add different fish like reticulated hill stream loaches or some type of gobies, things along that nature that would naturally live in like a higher flow system. That's the plan with this tank. Right now, I have the same issues like I mentioned with the Oscar tank and the Oaxaca puffer tank with the fish. You notice there is a little crib in there. I threw it in there a couple days ago to see how it would do. It's still surviving. The plants don't grow in here. They just don't with this compaction of this sand. This beach sand is so fine. It compacts everything. My dorsads don't grow. It just sits there and gets yellow and rots. The Anibius is doing okay, but again, I get all this algae on them and it gets frustrating. So I'm getting rid of that sand. And like I said, I'll be setting it up with gravel and a different filtration system, and I'll be making this a higher flow river tank. And I'm super, super excited for that. But overall, the fish room has been doing great this year. And it's just, for me, I want to change some things up because last year was a very much an awakening for me on the way I was keeping my fish. And it was nice to be able to kind of open my eyes and, like I said, go back to basics and really understand more about how our tanks work from the scientific side and really try to understand that more. And this year is going to be the same. I'm going to continue that learning. I'm going to continue that deep diving into different subjects and show you guys that stuff. But I also want to, on my own side, enjoy every tank I have down here more. And that means making fewer of them, but enjoy them more the fewer they are. Now, what am I going to do with these tanks? I probably should have said that. I take the rainbow shiners out of here. I said the CPDs. The rest of my CPDs are going to go up in this tank. So I think this will be a cool little tank. I'll probably just take the wave maker out. The white cloud tank, I'm not sure. I'm going to add some obviously plants to it. We'll see down the road. Again, I'll just let the shrimp thrive in here. I will have, like I said, a few of those rice fish I'm going to keep for summer tubby. Maybe I'll throw them in there. I'm not 100% sure. But to be determined with these two tanks. But like I said, this hobby is great. I love changing things up. I love keeping my interest while going, but I need to have some things going on in my fish room that really intrigue me. And this river tank has been something I've been wanting to do for a long time. And to be able to do that, I had to sacrifice some tanks. I had to sacrifice obviously the Oscar, which it sucks. It's never fun getting rid of some of these fish and tanks that you've really enjoyed taking care of, but in the end, it's going to make me happy. It's definitely going to make my wife happy knowing I'm getting rid of a few tanks. But that's the thing of this hobby. You can always come back if you need to. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you understand. Like I said, this channel is going nowhere. It's just going to change a little bit. Going to change the fish room. Going to shape it more into really what my thinking is in this hobby right now. And that includes making a river tank and an ecosystem with it, and understanding more of the science and things behind our hobby rather than just, yeah, here it is. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't. And I hope to see you again next time. And I will take you guys along for this exhilarating ride of switching everything up. See you again next time here at Patty's Aquatics.
Thanks for watching, and hope to see you next time here at Patty's Aquatics.